landscape is more than beautifully shot. It is part of the storytelling, a tool Murnau uses to build tension. By day, the country through which Hutter travels is a rural idyll, but by night, it belongs to Count Orlok, the vampire. It is a dream sequence in the haunted castle that gives us the most tantalizing hint of what was to come. This scene is played broadly for laughs, but it's compelling to wonder if Murnau saw the potential in those long, clawed fingers and the shadow on the bed, and realised that he could do more with them. Orlok is not just an icon, nor is he a simple bad guy. He is the linchpin of the film's structure. The plot of The Haunted Castle is very complex, with some intriguing similarities to the Lon Chaney-Todd Browning collaboration, London After Midnight. It's overloaded with characters, none of whom make any great impression. Nosferatu, by contrast, is disarmingly simple. Rather than adapting the whole of Stoker's long, multi-perspective book, Murnau and Galeen dig out a single theme to pursue. While the film seems to follow different narrative strands, switching perspective from Hutter as the Count's prisoner to his waiting fiancée, Ellen, the structure is always on a single path, the discovery of the vampire. There had been cinematic vampires before Nosferatu, but very few, and none that explore the vampire itself, so Murnau had the option of introducing us to the concept throughout the film without fear of cliché. In the happy normality of Visborg, a mere letter from Orlok is enough to cast a shadow. While closer to the castle, the mention of his name silences a room. We've already seen how Murnau used the landscape itself to make his point. We learn Orlok is a creature of the night, and that he has strange powers. The use of speeded up photography and the negative shot have not aged well as special effects, but they still convey the otherworldliness of Orlok. Finally, we meet the Count himself. This is the end of Act 1. The uneasy atmosphere is established and is quickly deepened in Act 2 as we learn of Orlok's taste for blood. Up to now, we have only known Orlok as a man, albeit a strange-looking one. But when night falls, we meet Nosferatu, the vampire. This 5-minute set piece, a showcase of tension and editing, is quite possibly the first vampire attack on film, and we see very little. For now, the vampire remains a terrifying mystery. In the next attack, Murnau gives us more, as the vampire goes on the hunt. Watch the shadow at the lower right of the screen and you can see the vampire raise his arm to strike, perhaps relating to this production still. But in the finished film, Murnau again stops short of the kill. When we arrive at the final attack, we see the now familiar elements put into practice. The strange powers, the hunt, the shadow. But this time, we see the vampire feed, the point to which the whole film has been building. In 1922, Murnau is using a stripped-down, bare-bones horror film structure we would still recognise today. The building of suspense, the introduction of the monster, the gradual reveal through action, and the quietly horrifying denouement. More even than its iconography, this structure is where Nosferatu is most influential. The year after Nosferatu, Murnau made The Burning Earth. Long thought lost and still awaiting a widely available restoration, it remains the least well known of his masterpieces and highlights an interesting question about Nosferatu. Why is there no religious imagery in a vampire film? The Burning Earth's critical acclaim gave the director greater power going forward with his next film, also made in 1922, Phantom. Like The Haunted Castle, 1922's Phantom cannot be classified as a pure horror. In fact, it's difficult to classify at all. The film it most resembles is Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, another story of obsession and a doppelganger that descends into insanity. The film's discourses into dark fantasy via the dreams of its hero, Lorenz, played by Alfred Abel, make it a blood relation to horror and an important link between Nosferatu and Murnau's later horror masterpiece, Faust. Despite the greater respect Murnau now commanded, he once again played second fiddle to a writer. Tia von